Romans 6:7-12 is a passage from the New Testament of the Bible, authored by the Apostle Paul. Here is the passage verse by verse, followed by an explanation. Romans 6:7-12 NIV. Verse 7, for one who has died has been set free from sin. Explanation. This verse suggests that through spiritual death, symbolized by the death of Christ, believers are freed from the power and penalty of sin. Verse 8, now, if we have died with Christ, we believe that we will also live with him. Explanation. This emphasizes the Christian belief in spiritual resurrection with Christ. Just as Christ died and was resurrected, believers too, through faith, die to their old sinful selves and are reborn into a new, righteous life. Verse 9, we know that Christ, being raised from the dead, will never die again. Death no longer has dominion over him. Explanation. This affirms the Christian doctrine of Christ's resurrection, emphasizing his victory over death, which is seen as the ultimate consequence of sin. Verse 10, for the death he died to sin, once for all. But the life he lives to God. Explanation. Paul explains that Christ's death was a one-time event that dealt with sin definitively. His resurrected life is now completely dedicated to God, serving as a model for believers. Verse 11, so you also must consider yourselves dead to sin and alive to God in Christ Jesus. Explanation. Paul encourages believers to view themselves as having undergone a spiritual transformation dead to their old, sinful nature and alive in a new righteous nature through Christ. Verse 12, let not sin, therefore reign in your mortal body, to make you obey its passions. Explanation. This is an exhortation for believers to resist sin and not let it control their lives. It emphasizes the believer's responsibility to live a life that reflects their new status in Christ. In summary, Romans 6:7-12 deals with the themes of death to sin and new life in Christ. It emphasizes the transformation that occurs in believers through faith in Jesus, illustrating a shift from being enslaved to sin to living under the grace and lordship of Christ. This passage is foundational in Christian theology regarding the believer's relationship to sin and the transformative power of Christ's death and resurrection.